The late 19th century was a time of great production, national financial success, and increased industrialization and urbanization. Immigrants believed that Americans lived in ostentatious homes and were never in want of anything. But this was only 1% of America. Most Americans lived in extreme poverty. They slaved away in factories until they were so worn down, life seemed to hold little promise. Families had to cram into small houses. Men, women, and children all had to work just to make ends meet for one family. This time was called the Gilded Age. By the late 1890s, much of America was industrialized or urbanized. Industrialization created many jobs for many unskilled workers. The immigration rate boomed because just about anyone could get a job in a factory. But, because factories called for unskilled workers, the value of workers decreased, and so did their pay. Soon, people found that the traditional roles of men and women could no longer be upheld in such a society. Many people in cities lived in poverty, so, just to keep their families alive, women and children needed to take jobs along with men. Traditionally, women took care of the children and household duties. Now, they had to keep a job and a home. Women started to become more independent and would seek their own careers. By 1900, 20% of all women were working. Most of these were unmarried women, but approximately 6% of married women were working too. Women began taking on many different types of work. 29% of working women were domestic workers, which meant they cleaned, cooked, and cared for other families. Many others worked in offices doing clerical work or labored in factories tirelessly. Although women were accepted as workers in male-dominated industries, they still received less pay than their male counterparts. In 1890, a full-time working woman received only 54% of what a full-time working man earned, meaning that if a man earned $100 for his work, a woman who completed the same work was only paid $54. They were discriminated against because of their sex. Although women